today's video, we're going to talk about some of the key components of the latest stimulus bill that was recently passed with regards to renters, landlords, and the rental relief. Now, a lot of you guys have asked about this rental relief that was, passed in the latest stimulus bill. How does it, make it to the market? How do you apply for it? How much do you get? So that's what we're going to dive into today. We're going to talk about those questions exactly. We're going to talk about how much money you could receive. How do you go about applying for it? We're also going to be talking about the moratorium, the eviction and foreclosure moratorium that was extended until the end of January. And a lot of people are asking, why do they keep extending this? The primary reason they extended it again, for one, is to allow this $25 billion that was passed as part of the latest stimulus package to actually make it to the market. The idea is that if they extend it till the end of January, it gives it enough time for this money to actually make it to the tenants and the landlords who need it, to give people an opportunity to stay in their properties longer. Now, could it be extended even further? Chances are yes. By the end of January, chances are you're going to have a new president in office if things, stay as they are at the moment, which means, probably a different mindset coming in, and there's a lot of talk of extending this even further to give people an opportunity to get back on their feet, to give an opportunity for the vaccine to reach more people, get the economy a little bit more stable. So chances are you're going to see this pushed out even further. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what you need to do if you're a renter, you're behind on your rent, behind on your utility bills, anything that's related to the property that you're renting, because that's what that rental assistance is for. So we're going to pull up a memo here in just a minute. I've highlighted it, as I usually do, to talk about the key components that I think are important in this bill. And a lot of it has been highlighted, to be completely honest. So we're going to be reading a lot of it because I think it's important. But what I'll do is I'll put a link below if you want to download it or go reference it for yourself and read the entire document. But before we dive into that, do me a favor. If you like all things real estate related, you find value in this content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like this content. So what I'm going to do is pull up the memo here that we just talked about, and this is it. So as we mentioned, $25 billion to help families and individuals pay their rent and utility bills. So we're going to talk about in a minute how that actually works. So again, as we mentioned, the COVID-19 stimulus package extends the CDC's eviction moratorium until the end of January. What kind of assistance would renters receive? So eligible renters would be able to receive assistance with rent and utility payments, unpaid rent or utility bills that have accumulated since the beginning of the pandemic, and other housing expenses that were incurred due directly or indirectly to the pandemic. Eligible renters would also have access to services such as case management and tenant-landlord mediation to help them remain stably housed. So what is landlord-tenant mediation? Essentially, you sit down with a mediator and try to work something out with the landlord of the property, or if you're the landlord, the tenant in the property, to come to some sort of agreement to stay in the property, or pay the past due rent or what have you. So they're providing services to allow that. So a household may receive up to 12 months of assistance, but may receive an additional 3 months of assistance only if it is necessary to ensure the household remains stably housed and funds are available. So to receive the additional funds, the additional 3 months, there has to be enough funds there to do that, for one, but up to 12 months worth of assistance. So if you stop making your payments in March of last year, $2,000 a month, say, was your expense, you could receive up to $24,000 towards that. Now, there are some limitations on income, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. So how would renters apply for and receive assistance? Renters would apply for assistance with entities that state and local grantees select to administer the program. Property owners would also assist renters to apply for rental assistance under the program or apply on behalf of the tenant, but will be required to notify the renter that assistance is being provided on their behalf and obtain their consent in the application. So as a tenant, you can apply. As a landlord, if your tenant hasn't applied, you can apply for them, but you have to have their consent in order to do it. So that's one of the things that you got to keep in mind there. So let's take a minute here and scroll down just a little bit further. All right, so eligible households are defined as renters' households who have a household income not more than 80% of the area median income. So 80% of the median income in your area, you can't make more money than that. Have one or more household members who can demonstrate a risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability. I would think in this environment, pretty easy to be able to convey that. Have one or more household members who qualify for unemployment benefits or experience financial hardship due directly or indirectly to the pandemic. So one or more has to be on some sort of unemployment. Let's see here. Assistance would be prioritized for renters' households with incomes that do not exceed 50% of the area median income. So 80% in order to qualify, but they're going to prioritize those that make 50% of the area median income. So those that are probably affected the hardest are going to have priority over those that have been less affected in most cases. Well, can't say less affected, but those with lower incomes are going to be the priority over those that have a little bit more income. And as well as renters who are currently unemployed and have been unemployed for 90 days. So if you've been unemployed for a period of 90 days or more, you're also going to be a priority in that as well. Let's see here. In determining household income, the administering entity must consider the household's income for 2020 or the household's monthly income at the time of application for assistance, which must be recertified every 3 months if the household is receiving ongoing rental assistance. So you've got to be able to provide income documentation to show exactly what you're saying there. And then the memo goes on to talk about how would Treasury distribute the funding. And so essentially my understanding is that the money is already started going out to the states. Now, states like California and Texas, they already have rental relief programs set up. So, if you live in California, you live in Texas, there's already, entities out there that you can apply for to receive assistance, and this money is going to go on top of that. So make sure you're checking where, in the state that you're located in, what type of rental assistance is out there, because there are entities that are working on this already prior to this $25 billion coming in. So this is just on top of that which is already in the market. So, and this talks about how much money each state's going to get, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go through that because it's somewhat irrelevant depending on where you're located. So just know that, if you're a renter and you're having trouble paying your rent, you should definitely apply for it. Don't just think that, well, they're never going to give it to me or it's going to run out or what have you. I would definitely encourage you to try to get it if you need it, and work towards that. And if you're having trouble, maybe your landlord is willing to reach out on your behalf and also help. Now, my understanding is that if the landlord receives help as part of the rental assistance, because they can also receive this, they have to pass that along to the renter. So that means if they're receiving assistance, they can't just kick out the renter or evict the renter. They have to allow the renter to stay in the property. In addition to that, if you are a landlord, your tenant's not paying, there are still opportunities out there to file for forbearance. The Multi-Family Forbearance through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac was extended through the end of March. So if you have a property that is multiple units, multifamily, and it's backed by Fannie or Freddie, you still can apply for the forbearance, mortgage forbearance through the end of March. The caveat is you have to pass along that benefit to your tenants to stay in the property without having to pay rent, so on and so forth. So just know there is assistance out there, and I realize this isn't going to solve all the world's problems, but it will help. Chances are there's going to be additional stimulus coming down the road to help tenants, help landlords as well. So stay tuned. I will continue to put that information out to you as I receive it. But as always, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I appreciate the support, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.